We spend our lives running on a treadmill, chasing the next promotion, the bigger house, the perfect status. We think we're building a fortress against aging and loss, but mostly we're just building a very comfortable cage. Over 2.5 millennia ago, a prince named Siddhartha Gautama was born in Kapilavastu. Fearing a prophecy that the boy would become a wandering monk, his father engineered an artificial paradise to keep his son firmly anchored to the crown. Siddhartha lived what we would call the ultimate option A life. He had 3 palaces tailored for different seasons and a life scrubbed of every visible trace of misery. He was married to a royal bride, Yashodhara, and lived in a world of curated perfection. He had achieved the absolute pinnacle of human striving, maximum wealth, power, and security. Yet he recognized a fatal flaw in this architecture. Every luxury he held was temporary, and therefore it couldn't provide lasting peace. He saw that winning the game of status doesn't actually solve the problem of human suffering. It simply gives you a softer place to sit while you wait for things to go wrong. The traditional story says Siddhartha finally ventured outside the palace walls and was shattered by the sight of an old man, a sick man, a corpse, and a peaceful monk. However, historical interpretations, like those from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, point to a grounded political crisis. In this version, the catalyst wasn't a sudden spiritual realization, but a violent dispute over the Rohini River. His kingdom was on the verge of a bloody war over water rights. To save his people from a slaughter, Siddhartha chose voluntary exile, taking the fall and leaving the kingdom to de-escalate the conflict. Regardless of the motivation, the result was a clean break. In the middle of the night, he walked away from the crown, the palaces, and his family, stepping directly into the pitch-black unknown. By walking away from his inheritance, Siddhartha gained the one thing his father's empire couldn't buy, the perspective to look at the human condition from the outside. Leaving the palace meant testing a new hypothesis. If extreme wealth didn't work, Siddhartha reasoned that perhaps extreme deprivation would. He set out to conquer his mind by pushing his body to the edge of destruction. For 6 years, he lived as an ascetic. He slept in graveyards, survived on a single grain of rice a day, and reduced his body to a living skeleton. But he eventually reached a limit. Starving the body didn't clarify his mind. It simply made it harder to think. He realized that a damaged biological vehicle is useless for deep work. Near death, he accepted a bowl of rice kheer from a woman named Sujata. This simple act of nutrition marked his pivot to the middle path, a way of life that avoids both luxury and starvation. He concluded that torturing the flesh is just another form of self-obsession. Punishing the body is not the same as liberating the consciousness. He sat beneath the ancient branches of a sacred fig tree in Bodh Gaya, vowing not to rise until he understood the mechanics of suffering. After 28 days of intense focus, the prince was gone. In his place sat the Buddha, an awakened one who had mapped the psychological landscape of human dissatisfaction. This diagram shows the logic of his findings, known as the Four Noble Truths. He presented them as a diagnostic system for the mind. The first truth is that life is pervaded by dissatisfaction. The second truth identifies the source, endless cravings, and the chain of cause and effect. The third declares this cycle can be stopped. The fourth provides the program, an 8-step system called the Eightfold Path. At the center of this system is the concept of anatta, the realization that there is no permanent self. Like a river that looks the same but is composed of constantly changing water, your identity is a shifting process, not a fixed object. Because you are not a fixed entity that needs to be defended, you are free to continuously update and refine your own consciousness. To scale this framework, the Buddha didn't rely on miracles. He built a decentralized network of practitioners called the Sangha. This network was radically inclusive. It ignored social status and birthright, opening its doors to women, laborers, and the outcasts of society. This inclusivity proved that mental clarity was determined by daily actions, not by caste. It democratized the pursuit of peace. The Sangha demonstrated that the work of the mind is easier when you are surrounded by others following the same protocol. On his deathbed, the Buddha left his followers with one final instruction, Appa Dipo Bhava. It translates to, be your own light. He didn't want a religion built on his image. He wanted people to test his method for themselves and to verify the results through their own experience. Take control of your mental clarity. Stop chasing illusions and start testing the framework. Subscribe for more deep dives into the mechanics of the mind. The blueprint for dismantling your own mental prison has been open source for thousands of years. You just have to use it.